Hello there, my name is Metembe Thomas Trumo and I am a Bulawayo's teacher analyst. Today, we are going to an interesting new video series that we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking a look at classic games and it's called Remember When. Today, we're doing an interesting review of the classic games. The World Cup 2006. Remember when Brazil got beaten by France in 2006 in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. So we're gonna split this video into three sections. One section, first section, that's we're gonna be giving you the background, the setup of the game, what was happening, and what was like during 2006. Where were the players coming from, and what was the status of the teams that they were playing for, and general setup of the tournament. What was it looking like? What were the odds saying, and what were the experts thinking? And then after that, we're going to look at the tactical review to see how the teams are going to be set up and what really happened during the game. Then after that, we're going to look at some performance analysis comments where we look at the videos and we analyze what was happening in the game and what caused it to happen in the way that it happened. So, in 2006, this World Cup was hosted in Germany, and I remember it. I was a little boy, but I still remember a lot of the things. And when I watch it, I get a lot of nostalgia. In the games leading up to this quarterfinal, Brazil had beaten Japan 4-1. They also beaten Australia 1-0, and Croatia 2-0, and also beaten Ghana 3-0 in the round of 16. Generally, Brazil had a relatively easy run towards this game, but Spain, I think, faced a lot more competition. But we can also agree that Brazil was a generally stronger team compared to France, so this was an upset at the time. France had drawn 0-0 with South Korea, and then it had beaten Togo 2-0, and also beaten Switzerland 1-0, and also then beat France 2-1. So we could say that in general, France didn't look very, very great compared to Brazil in the games that was leading up to this quarterfinal. But everyone was excited about it. It was quite an exciting time because all of the players that were coming into this game were players that were coming from very, very big teams who were doing quite well in Europe at the time. Dida, the Brazilian goalkeeper, was playing for AC Milan. Lucio was playing for Inter Milan. Juan was playing for Bayer Leverkusen. Roberto Carlos, the great fullback, was playing for Real Madrid. Midfielders, we had Gilberto Silva from Arsenal. Juninho was playing for Lionel. Cafu was coming from AS Roma, and the forwards, Ronaldinho was still at Barcelona at the time. I think this was prime Ronaldinho at the time. Zé Roberto was at Bayern Munich. Ronaldo was at Real Madrid at the time, and Kaká was at AC Milan. So France had the Man United goalkeeper Fabien Barthez, and they had a defense of William Gallas from Arsenal at the time. Lilian Thuram was at Barcelona. Eric Abidal was at Lionel at the time, and Patrick Vieira was at Juventus. And then there was also Claudio Makelele, who was playing at Chelsea at the time, and then Frank Ribéry was playing at Marseille. And then there's Zinedine Zidane, prime Zinedine Zidane, in my opinion, who was playing as a number 10, was at Real Madrid at the time. And then there was also prime Thierry Henry, was playing at Arsenal at the time. So there was also Florent Maloda, I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Maloda was playing for Lionel at the time. So this was a very star-studded match, as you can see, and one of the most anticipated games of the of the tournament. So
now let's take a look at how the teams lined up on the pitch. For Brazil, they had Dida on the goal post, and then they had Roberto Carlos on the right. Then they had Juan and Lucio, and then they had G Silva on as a defensive midfielder. Same with Zero Beto on the other side, and then they had two attacking midfielders who were playing as number 10s. That was Kaka and Juninho. And then they had the center forward, which was Ronaldo, as well as a number 10, who was almost like a floating free roll type of player. So that was Ronaldinho Caucho. And then France, on the other hand, had Abidal on the left back, Galas, and then there was then they had Turam, and then they also had Sanyol as their right back. And then they had two defensive midfielders. That was Makelele and Vieira. Vieira was more of the attacking midfielder, and Makelele was really sitting deep in this game. They had Ribery on the right side. Then they had Zinedine Zidane playing as number 10, and then Florent Maloda on the left wing. And then they also had Zinedine Zidane, and then they had Thierry Henry as their striker. So generally, what Brazil was trying to do the most was trying to control the ball, and with Brazil, they are very good at that with that two-touch football. So when they were starting out with the possession, they would have their players up front like this, and then maybe Roberto Carlos is pushing up the ball on the on his side, and then he gives it and when he gets pressed, what would happen is Kaká and Juninho would drop in right in these pockets, and then they would receive the ball and try to pass it forward, and then they get it to Ronaldinho, maybe who's on the side, and then tries to put in a cross or to play some quick 1-2 football, and get the ball to Ronaldo and score. But then the problem that they had with this was that France was very intentional in pressing them in this half. They were pressing them. They were pressing them heavily in their half once Brazil started attacking, but they would allow them to have the ball up front. And then as a result, they knew that they had very, very fast players, and players who had very good control of the ball up front. And this was Zinedine Zidane and Thierry Henry, as well as Frank Ribery. Very, very fast players. So their strategy mainly was to have their two defending midfielders sitting deep, and then when they get the ball, they push it up front. Thierry Henry or Zinedine Zidane hold up the ball. These two guys, they either get into those pockets, the ball gets passed over, and then Thierry Henry is in the box to try to get in a header or a volley, something like that. That was generally the main play and the main tactics that were lying in this team. So as we know, France ended up winning this game by using that particular strategy. They had a corner kick, they had a free kick, and all of the players were up front, and Thierry Henry came in from this far end. The ball was pitched up, and then he converted it and scored. So once they scored, that's when things became very difficult for Brazil, because essentially what this team France was now doing now was that any time that a Brazilian player had the ball, he was going to be double teamed by two players. And generally what they would do is allow them to get to the wing, and then they would close off the sections to not allow them to have zones to pass the ball through. So then they had to push the ball back up and then try to get it in some other way. But then the way that France was defending made this very, very, very difficult, and that's what resulted in France winning the game. At the very end of the game, thus they were now playing somewhat a formation that looks like this, where they had one striker up front who was doing some sort of pressing, but then they had enough players on their side of the pitch, such that if Brazil wanted to attack in some shape or form, each player that got the ball was going to be pressed by two men. Thank you very much. Let's keep watching.